everyone. Welcome to the Spot Real Talk. My name is Tiara.
I'm Tiffany.
And I'm Ron.
And today we are finishing up our discussion on the top 10 mistakes that men make. So hold on, you don't want to miss this.
Please hang in.
Busy in the last one burnt you. Know that ain't cool. Wanna show you how I'm nothing like him. Swear that's the truth. So you can't trust that
All right. So we're back, and like I said, we're finishing up our discussion on the top 10 mistakes that men make. Now, last week we talked about Queen Sugar, and then we started into the top 5. And those 5 were number 1, giving a woman too much power. Number 2, trying to invoke too much of your own control. 3 was believing that the good you do today will last tomorrow. 4, being domineering or overly possessive. And 5 was allowing family or friends to dictate what happens in the relationship. So those were 5 of the mistakes that you definitely should not do. And today we are continuing with the other 5. And then we're also going to talk a little bit about, some of the top 5 things that you'll learn from dating a black woman.
Black woman.
A strong black woman. And who better to hear it from?
And 2 strong black women.
Exactly. We got y'all covered.
I need Old Spice up in here. Deal with these 2 strong women. They're strong.
Yeah, Ron, you in the hot seat today.
Yeah,
so.
I'm always in the hot seat. I'm always find myself here more often than not. Particularly about that one over there.
Whatever. Well, you have somebody to hold you down. RD seems to always hold you down in the comments.
Appreciate you, RD. Hang in there. I'm going to need you tonight.
Okay, so let's go ahead and jump right into it.
Number 6. Always kissing up. Now, these brothers, you know the type. They got pet names for their little girl. For you ladies. Like Sugar Dumpling, Honey Spice, Chocolate Bunny, I'm getting sick talking about it. But anyways, cut it out, guys. You gotta cut that.
No. At the right time.
Hold up. Look, we all know as men that you ladies, there are 2 kinds of guys. The one you go after and the one you don't. Now, the one you go after is the one that'll give you a little nod. Hey, I'm here. Let's kick it. But then he may give you some time. He may not. Y'all run after them. The ones that act like they don't want to be bothered. But when you show as a brother that you want to be bothered, you're there. You're trying to do everything for them.
That is not true.
Right, that's not true.
Go ahead. Well, I was just talking about in reference to the pet names and Sugar Dumpling and
that
Honey
usually
Bun.
comes with them running around trying to solve and satisfy everything that you all.
Look, I think a woman can appreciate every now and then having her ego petted and saying, "Oh, you're my gorgeous, beautiful sugar lump, whatever you want to call." I think that's okay.
If he's doing that every day, No. This is what we're talking about here. He's doing it every day. Every day he sees you, he's on top of you like honey. He's sticking to you.
Well, nobody wants somebody who's clingy.
Right.
So
but what's that mean? I mean, what is clingy?
There's nothing wrong with a man being affectionate with a woman. I mean, that's cool. I appreciate pet names and everything, but no woman wants to be smothered, just like men don't want to be smothered.
Yeah, because so your dude call you boo. You good with that, right?
Boo is fine.
Yeah.
Boo, baby. It's cool with me.
Okay.
I think what you're getting at is just laying it on too thick.
Yeah. Being corny about it.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you might call it corny. Somebody else might just say, hey, it's just a little too thick. But I don't know. I just say you need to limit it to boo, babe, whatever.
How you want to tell somebody else how
I'm not telling.
Everybody has different terms of endearment in their relationship and stuff. How you going to limit them and tell them what to say
it's
to
a
their
suggestion. I'm trying to tell you.
And it doesn't necessarily mean you're kissing up.
Yeah.
Look, brothers. 3, no more.
Brothers, Ron gonna have y'all single listening.
Right.
He's single anyway. If you're not married, because trust me, there's no kissing up once that happens. After about 4, 5, 6 years, y'all will find your own point. You go do your thing, she does hers, and y'all meet somewhere in the middle.
There's no kissing up when you're married.
Yeah.
Yeah. After that 7-year itch, done.
Yeah. Okay.
I hope somebody didn't hear.
I was about to say. You better watch out.
Yeah, well, whatever. Okay.
Okay, so the point of that one is don't lay it on too thick. Having a pet name here or there is cute, but when you smothering people and being overburdened or overbearing, I guess that's the word I'm looking for, then it becomes annoying and it's like, get out my face.
Okay.
So don't do that, guys.
Please don't. Please don't. Just, be yourself, I think, basically, is what we're trying to say. All right.
So, number 7 of the top 10 mistakes, complacency. Now, this one is, I don't know why when I think of this. Again, it always takes me back to Insecure with Lawrence and how he was just so complacent and just moping in himself, and his plans didn't work out with his app and how he wanted things to go, so he just got complacent, wasn't doing much in his relationship, wasn't taking care of Issa the way he needed to. And that's just immediately where my mind went. And that's a mistake.
And we
see where it landed him.
And we call it, we call it complacency, but just like women, you see,
it was a depression.
It's a depression. He's in depression. He's struggling. He's struggling mentally, and it shows physically. Women, when you all get into that complacency mode, you all have a litany of things that you can do to come out of that. You got your girlfriends. You can make phone calls. The world is at your feet, ready to help you. Now, a man who gets complacent, as you call it, you tend to overlook the real cause and effect. You just, it's like saying man up.
Well, I can understand it in the case where a guy, he might be going through something professionally or personally where the cause of his complacency could be because of his depression or whatever. But there's a lot of guys out here that just get complacent for no good reason, just because enough time has gone by and he done got comfortable.
That's called lazy. See, we're not talking about lazy guys. We're talking about typically guys who become complacent in a relationship, just as you brought up with Insecure. There's something going on. There's something going on with them. And it could be something in the relationship as well that makes them complacent. Okay. Because sometimes you may have this strong woman, and we will get to that, and somebody acquiesces, typically. And typically, if he wants to be in the relationship, he'll acquiesce to it, and he becomes complacent with the kind of strong woman that we have out here today. It's nothing wrong for a woman to have a job, have her education down. She's got master's degree, PhD, what have you. But he may not have those things. And because you do, there tends to be a sense of role reversal in relationship. He becomes the submissive, and you become more of a dominant. Not from a sexual standpoint, okay? Because that's good sometimes, but it's not from a sexual standpoint. But you understand what I'm saying?
No, I hear you.
I don't think you're getting it, Tiff.
No, I get it. I'm just not sure that I agree when you say that it's a role reversal. Even though I know that when you say that they become more domineering, even though in some cases that does happen.
From a financial, particularly in the financial aspect of things.
Maybe from that perspective.
And I don't necessarily disagree because, after all, you making, $150 and a year, you kind of want to keep that money around somewhat. You want to make certain that the money is well spent. And so sometimes you tend to probably overlook his ability to manage the funds because basically they are yours and not his. So, it's a sense of selfishness. Come on, we get there. We all do it. Now, of course, men, we've been trained by very strong women to bring our money home.
Yeah.
Yep, to take care of the household.
Exactly.
Well, I
You
think
guys are supposed to be the providers.
exactly. And when it comes to that, like I was just reading that most women, they want to see some kind of results. They want to see you continue to make progress and not just stay stagnant. Nobody wants to just keep looking at you in the same place. Like I might be progressing, I might be goal oriented, I might be out here trying to make it happen, and you are just like so just not trying to strive for anything more than what you already have, and that's irritating when you want somebody that has the same goals as you, you want somebody to have that same tenacious attitude, like be a go-getter, because that's attractive to a woman. And when you have a guy that's just okay with going with the flow, it's like, what are you doing with yourself?
Right. I agree with that, because I know
Okay.
I have friends who have had the issue in their relationships with the man. Like they were goal oriented, they were really driven, but when it came down to their mate, they were like, we're not compatible because they're not driven, they're not trying to do anything. He's satisfied being in this same place that he has been for the past 10 years and stuff. And that doesn't mean when you say goal oriented that like, oh, you got to make this amount, this, and this.
Well, I
But
disagree with you.
But as far as you just, like Tiara said, just being stagnant, because you want to keep growing in a relationship. Hopefully you want to grow together.
Right.
Would you
And
agree
if you're growing and this person is just happy being right here, then it's going to be an issue.
Well, let's take artists. You got a brother, he wants to be a rap artist. We know it's not going to happen overnight.
Right.
Is he stagnant?
Well,
Is he complacent? I mean, he's spending most of his time trying to get his gig out.
I can speak to that.
Yeah.
I can speak to that because, my artist had a similar situation. He had difficulties with women because he's grinding. He's trying to get his
And it's not overnight.
his craft. It's not overnight.
Right.
Whereas if you're dating a woman and she has a regular job and everything, and she's educated and this, that, and the other, the people in their space, whether it's her mom or friends, like,
Right.
what are you doing?
Exactly.
Like, he's not doing anything. Even to them, it's like the goals that he's reaching for to be an artist or whatever, it's not tangible to them.
right.
Right.
It's not attainable, and they're
Because
saying to
they
the
don't
woman, you're
believe in
wasting
him.
your time. Right.
They
You're
don't
wasting
believe
your
in him.
time. So
Right.
they're like, he's stagnant, he's here.
Right.
Give yourself a time limit. You can do better.
And that's, think about it. Give him a time limit to get his act together or to become a superstar. And see, today you're ready to throw him away. Tomorrow he becomes that super rap artist.
Well, that's what he said.
Yeah.
And
Well,
so-
that's what he said.
So,
I think there's a way you can be in the middle, though.
but
Right.
what is the middle? Tell
Well-
us what the middle is.
From my point of view, I think that if you have somebody like that is an artist where they might not necessarily get the payoff that they want right away, you have to be willing to have a backup and say, like, look, I can still pursue this in my spare time. Like, if after a certain amount of time I see that things are not going the way I want them to do, maybe I can reprioritize things just so that I can take care of my financial responsibilities and try to make it so that I can do both.
But
Well, I think that's what Issa was saying. Going back to your point about Lawrence.
yeah.
Because Lawrence, the whoop whoop app and stuff,
Yes.
that wasn't working for him. And I think Issa was trying to get him to see, like, you can still pursue whoop whoop, but in the meantime, we have bills, we have a household that we have to
Exactly.
provide
But
for.
who
You need to-
determines that certain amount of time?
Well, I think it's up for the people in a relationship to communicate with each other. Like,
But
look,
that
I
often
can't
doesn't
be,
happen.
That's the
women
problem.
women will have that clock in their head, and we don't know anything about the.
Oh, right.
You know,
That's
we
true.
don't
Yeah.
we don't
That's
know that
true.
we're on the 23rd hour
That's
of
true.
24.
That's an internal clock.
But
Yeah,
a
you
lot
got
of
that
times there are
internal-
signs leading up to that. You're gonna hear some.
Oh, yeah, you're going to hear the conversation and stuff. You just don't know that you on the clock.
Right.
So, guys, stay away from the clock. I mean, because you there's nothing you can do about it. You know, it kind of hits you like a ton of bricks. You all of a sudden she's out because you didn't meet the time. And it's 24 hours, and you gotta go.
Well, I guess the thing with complacency is too that you just have to be honest with yourself as a person. Like, if you're a man and you see that things aren't progressing and things aren't going the way that you thought they would, then you got to know when it's time to move on and set new goals.
But how about you women being honest with yourselves
Oh,
when you meet them? When you meet them, yeah, but okay, okay, yeah.
Flipping the script again.
Yeah.
I digress only for a second because my whole point is, okay, he was an artist when you met him. That was cool then.
Right.
Because he could take you to some clubs and, he'd get in and people, shouting on him, pulling on him, and that was cool. But now you're in a relationship with him and you see that there are other priorities that are deeper than his artistry. Then you start looking at him in a more fundamental.
Yeah, because you're like,
aspect.
okay, he has notoriety, so to speak, or whatever. But right now, he hasn't made it to this point yet, so that's not paying the bills.
Mm-hmm.
And you're looking practical, and then your friends and family in your ear like, okay,
Exactly.
what are you doing? Like he's doing this, but it's not exactly paying the bills, and you're the one that has to.
I think that's why you got to look past all the fluff, all of the stuff that looks good on the surface, and look deeper into it. Like, okay, so what is he really bringing to the table?
What's he really bring to the table? And also, back to the point that we discussed last week about having friends and family in your relationships.
Yeah.
Ultimately, you need to be the one happy with that relationship and making that decision, and you got to block out the outside noise
Correct,
too.
because it affects you all probably more than it does men. I mean, because you listen to your girlfriends, you listen to your mom, you listen to your dad, you listen to everybody, because you tend to give an ear to that stuff more so than we do.
Oh no! You know what? And guys do too.
I'm not saying
I spoke on that last week, and I
no.
specifically had a situation
I got
when
you.
that happened to me.
I got you.
So
I'm not saying that we don't do that, but I'm saying I think on the gossip column you're gonna find.
No.
Oh,
I
come
can't
on.
even give you that.
How many
That's
y'all-
what I said. Like I said, I just had this.
Hey, ladies.
I just had this
Ladies,
happen
by
to me.
show of hands, how many of y'all watch Wendy Williams?
No,
You
see,
on the show?
Look.
I'm just saying.
That doesn't matter. Men gossip just as much as
ladies
women.
in the
Okay.
comments. If you have met a gossiping man more than once, let us know in the comments because
Also-
me
Let
and
me
Tiff got
tell
a
you.
point to prove.
Let me
And
tell you
also
that I
in those
know some
comments-
personally. That
Also in those
gossip.
comments, 2-1, I bet you know 2 women to 1 man.
I bet you I know more men who gossip than women.
You're in the wrong place. I don't know where you got it.
Yeah, I do. I know more
I
men
don't
than
know.
women who gossip.
Okay.
They
well,
just don't call it gossip. It's another name for it when they do it.
tell them the truth. I don't know. I'm just saying.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, what about choosing a woman based on her appearance alone?
Now,
Well,
a lot of guys
A
do
lot
that.
of guys do that. Guys, come on. Now, everybody likes a babe. Now, fortunately, these two got it going on here and everywhere else.
Thank you,
But
Ron.
no, it's a
Look,
fact.
what is he kissing up?
Yeah.
No, I mean, come on. Anybody out there can see that, right?
Well, hopefully.
Hope so. Yeah.
Well, I ain't blind. Okay, so, and I understand. I know these ladies, so I know where they're going headwise. But, that's not your one-stop shop, guys. They got to have something between those ears, because if they don't, whoo.
And I read this, and the top 2 women that I thought about that are like just physically attractive, but they can be very controversial, and some people say they airheads. I thought of Amber Rose,
Yes.
and then I thought of Stacey Dash.
Yes.
Oh,
And
you
I'm
didn't
like,
say
There's many more.
you didn't say who I thought you were gonna say.
Who, Kardashian?
Yep, I was gonna say Kim Kardashian.
Name
Kim's
any of
not
them.
as airheaded as a lot of people think. She's annoying, but she got some smarts.
Yeah, somewhat. I mean, she built an empire and stuff, but I go back to how she built.
Yeah, but
built
that
the
empire was built on her.
Yeah.
Right. That's
Yeah.
what I'm saying. And sometimes they have their airheaded moments too.
Yeah, she does.
Yeah,
They
But
have their airheaded moments.
She's
especially
truly
with
one
the,
that built an empire on her back.
literally.
Yeah.
Literally.
I mean, but as much as people like to hate on her, I know she's like a very attractive woman, but a lot of that can be attributed to the surgery or whatever.
Of course, there's a lot
But
of money up in there.
I'm just
A
saying.
lot of money.
But a lot of men fall into that Kardashian curse because the whole family
Yes.
is pretty good looking, and then you see where the men land.
Yeah.
like every
the brothers particularly. The brothers particularly.
Y'all got to get out.
Yeah.
Get out.
A lot of y'all in a
If
sunken
you haven't
place.
seen the movie,
In the sunken
get
place.
out. Don't sit on that couch.
Yeah.
And if you're talking to the mom and she got some tea,
Right.
get
Run.
out, man. Run. Don't even stop to ask.
I think
What's
they
in
all
the-
got
in the
that
cup?
teacup.
Mm-hmm. And going back to my point about Amber Rose, like for the longest time, nobody had ever even heard her voice. Like nobody knew what she sounded like. They just knew that she was like the good-looking piece of arm candy on all the rappers' arms. And then she started talking, and people was like, "Hold up, what?" She's been like very controversial. So that's just my point to say, guys, like you got to take your time to look past the fluff, like I was saying, and look at what you're really getting, because sometimes it's not what you expected.
All the glitters ain't gold.
Yeah, that's more times than not. So, and especially in these days where, like I said, the plastic surgery is so rampant, and
I should have been a plastic surgeon.
you gotta be careful out here too, because some of these guys that are switching to the other side, they getting good too.
And that's a whole nother story for a whole nother subject.
that is a whole nother
we got issues with that too. But hey, to each
But
their
they
each.
good though. I look at some of the Instagram pages, and there's one, Amaya Scott.
Oh, yeah.
Now, that is a good looking transgender.
Okay, and see,
Yeah.
for a straight guy like myself, see, we got problems, we got issues because of the fact that you can meet her, it, she, them, whatever you call them. I mean,
I'm about to offend the whole
I
lot
know,
of
no,
people.
I'm saying,
It's hard for guys to be politically correct.
saying-
and stuff.
I don't know
I
how.
know.
Look, I don't know. Do you? Are you? Yeah, okay.
You don't even know what to say.
I don't even know. Okay,
Please
I'm
send all hate.
no, I'm not. No, I'm not trying to make a mockery of women, men who have the appearance of a beautiful woman. Personally, I just don't know. Are you a woman or are you a man? I would want to know. I met a couple, and I mean to tell you,
They're good, and I'm like, they are slaying better than a woman.
I'm saying it almost wants you. You almost kind of second guess your
Your identity as
your
a
identity
man.
as a man.
Yeah.
Is that okay? I mean,
Yeah.
it's not. But we all like what we like. But just identify yourselves. I mean,
Right.
because there's somebody for everybody out there.
Well, all of this just to say, make sure you get to know a person beyond just the surface.
Right.
Yeah, very quickly. As much as you can know them. And that means putting aside sex for a minute, because you need to know where that mind is going. Okay. You need to know where that mind is going, because ladies, look, there are women out there that put you in a trap, and you in that trap for
18 years.
18 years or better, or better.
Okay, so yeah. I think, Ron, you cautiously warned the brothers out there.
Trying to
I
tell you,
think they
brothers.
get that they should pay attention. Don't make that mistake,
No,
because
really.
it could cost you a whole lot more than what you thought.
In those few minutes, okay? It could cost you for a lifetime. Not that I've been there, but I'm just saying.
All right, so are we ready to move on to number 9 of the 10
Yeah.
mistakes?
Please.
Yep.
Okay, so men, please don't do this one. Placing someone or something before your mate. Now, this has to be like one of the top 3 most annoying things that a man
Well,
can do to a woman.
It includes friends, relatives, cars, animals,
Your
books,
friends.
mama.
Mom.
I was gonna say
Particularly-
definitely mama.
Particularly your mama. Now, brothers, I know we got mamas, or she's your woman, but she's your mama. Your girl is your girl.
Yeah.
You should not have a problem with distinguishing which one is which. So, in fact, you should be able to have a disagreement. Your mother should be able to have a disagreement with your girl and then come to you for resolution. And you should be man enough to be able to tell her, your mom, hey, mom, you're wrong. Or, for that matter, tell your mate, hey, mom's right. Because your mother's going to respect you in the end. And I think your girl will too. But if you always kissing up over on mom's side and really dissing your girl because your mom says X, Y, Z, that's a recipe for disaster, brothers. Can't go home. You can't go back to your mom's house. What you going to do?
Yeah, right. And I know we touched on the mama's boys last week too, but like Ron was saying, your mama is your mama. She ain't gonna keep you warm at night.
I was gonna say that.
Well,
You
she
know?
shouldn't.
She really shouldn't.
She shouldn't.
But you gotta know when to cut it off and separate the lines. And even beyond the mamas, putting anybody in front of your mate is an issue. There's a lot of times where you want to go and run off with the boys, and that's an issue too. When you have obligations that you were supposed to been dealing with your mate, or even I've seen this one before where guys have female best friends, and sometimes they blur the lines between like, okay, like that's your friend, not your woman.
Right. And there's nothing wrong with having female friends or having male friends and stuff. You can have platonic friends,
Mhm.
but they have to know their
That's
place.
another.
Exactly.
Well, that's a topic for another discussion. Can men have female friends?
Oh,
I think so. I've always had male platonic friends.
Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah,
It's just about boundaries.
it is. It's about boundaries.
And also, too, guys, sometimes your girl might step up to your mom at a most inconvenient time, and you got to know how to bring her back.
Yeah.
You know, your girl, because sometimes it's just not the right time for you to be trying to step like that. You know, because
Yeah.
you know you all get into that little thing in your head, and you go like, I got to tell your mother a little thing.
I
too."
know, but that's when you gotta manage that.
Exactly.
You gotta manage it.
Because if the man sets the parameters with the mom to set the boundaries and stuff, then that shouldn't be happening between the woman and the mom anyway.
And
Yeah,
yeah,
but-
I was just having this conversation with a coworker of mine because her boyfriend, his mother and her do not really get along that well. And she was telling me of an instance where they were out to dinner and they were discussing all the mom's issues, and she was just, spilling her guts open to them and going on and on. But then when it came time for her to talk and she was trying to express some things, the mom got on her phone and was scrolling. And she was telling me how bad that hurt her feelings, that the mom just brushed her off like that. And so
My
she
mom.
told her boyfriend about it, and she was like expressing her feelings, like how it hurt her, and she expected him to address his mother. But apparently it hasn't been he hasn't been addressing it the way she feels he should, because it keeps happening. So I was just like, that's...
Well, see, sometimes you can address the mom, and the mom's still gonna do what she does. So at that point, I think it's time for you to separate your mom and your girl. So you go out with your girl, you go out with your mom, or whatever. But if you see that your mother is going to be just disrespectful to your girl, don't expect your girl to hang in there, because she's a human being and she wants to be treated like a woman.
Exactly.
She's your queen, and you got to treat her that way.
Especially when you get married.
Oh,
When you get married, you definitely need.
But that's why you need to
step
check
to mom.
all this stuff out now, because by the time you get married, you have married everybody in that family. Now, it doesn't mean that you got to love everybody in the family, but you better make certain that love's coming your way. That the mother-in-law loves you, father-in-law, the brothers. Make sure that there's some cohesiveness in that family that you can deal with, because I'm telling you, marriage is a hard thing to get out of, bro. I mean, if you got your finances tied up, you got kids, check yourself before you wreck yourself.
And just speaking from the marriage perspective, if you are married and this is happening, you have to understand as a man that when you left your household to be with this woman, that means that you have broken ties with your parents in
You
terms
become
of that.
one.
Exactly. You
Cut
and your
the
wife
apron
were not
strings.
one.
Cut the apron strings from your mom. Now, I get it. Your girlfriend can't cook. Your mother's a great cook. We got issues, okay? We like to eat, and we like to eat good. Ladies,
We get that, but just don't be disrespectful about it. You still need to make us feel like
Wow.
we have a place in your life and that we're not constantly on the back burner.
Right.
yeah, you got a place, but my mama got the plate. So I'm going to tell you what we're going to do.
Well, Mama got the plate, but we got the goodies over here. So you gonna have to make a
choose
choice.
wisely.
You got to make a choice.
How come I can't have my dinner
So-
and eat and have my dessert too?
So we got the
Come
goodies
on.
over here. Right, ask your mama. Right. While she fixing you that plate.
See how rough they are, man? I'm telling you, you got to know. You got to know.
Look, nobody wants to be on the back burner feeling like they come in second, especially we
Well,
probably
go
love
over-
your mama just as much as you
Then
do,
go over
but
to
you
my
gotta
mama's
know how
house
to.
and learn a few things about cooking. Y'all burn up everything.
Who is your
I'm
mom?
just saying, y'all will go in that kitchen and I be smoking. And
Oh,
it's
you're
not.
talking to
y'all.
the wrong one.
I'm just saying, I've been there.
I
I
don't
know
who
what I'm
these y'all
talking
that Ron is speaking of.
about. Y'all that
See
don't
how
want
he
to cook.
just, like,
They want to go to
generalizing all
restaurants.
women?
No, because look, you
Well,
know.
we want to eat
you
out
know.
too. There's
Every
nothing wrong
night?
with
Every night?
Look,
no, not every night.
But you
There's a time and a
tell
place
me you
for
don't
it.
know women that are like that. Don't cook, can't cook, and they're eating out every single night.
but I bet you she bringing some other stuff to the table too. If you
Yeah,
with her.
well, I know women like that too.
You got a table in your bedroom? So I'm saying, check out where that table is, okay?
Needless to say, the point of this is don't make your significant other feel like they are being left behind or that somebody else is coming before them. Make them feel needed in your life. Make them feel like they can come first, you know, if it calls for it. If it's not unreasonable.
As I try to joke, she's right. Only for a minute, but she's right.
For a minute, huh?
She's right.
Yeah, we'll see how you feel about this next one, number 10.
What's number 10 here?
This is the biggest mistake.
Yielding to
Don't
temptation.
do it. Don't do it.
Yielding to temptation from other women.
Yeah,
Wow.
definitely don't do it.
Who does that?
Who do-
A lot of y'all. A
The
lot
real
of y'all.
question is who
I'm not going to say
doesn't?
all of y'all because I don't think all men are dogs.
Right.
I
There-
appreciate
There's
that.
some good brothers out there, but a lot of y'all succumb.
I've always said a dog can't be a dog without a cat. Pussycat.
I don't know about
Anyway.
that one.
Anyway, that's a deal breaker for some of us.
For
You know.
all, for a lot of
No,
us.
but some women will forgive over and over again and stuff, and they'll work through it, and that's fine. I mean, if that's what you choose to do, I know that's a deal breaker.
Well, sometimes we got to look at, and I think you and I have had this conversation before, because, you know, we always want to label things, and we're very quick to be very judgmental and label. And even when it comes to this topic, sometimes it's a deeper issue than just having a temptation for another woman, because I think you didn't initially, well, most of us don't initially set out to want you and somebody else. But you have to understand, and I think that this is for women to understand. We're talking about men, but we have to understand, ladies, that whatever you did to get that brother, once you get married, you're going to have to step it up to keep it. Because you cannot. Come on. Okay, I know I deviated from the norm. I'm just saying.
Yeah, go ahead.
Brothers,
ahead.
as I'm talking, okay, let me say this another way.
Back on my notes.
Okay, you won't find it there because we haven't done that. That's next week. It's you all, and I'm gonna stay hard up on you too. But let me say this, guys. When you are dating this woman, you got to know where she is and where she's going. Okay, let's take weight for instance.
Why did I know that Ron was doing that? It's one of
Not
his
that I
favorite
have.
subjects.
No, see, she's gonna make you think that I got something against thick. Thick is good. If you know, I mean, thick is good. If you like thick women, if you like obese women, then that's cool too. But if you marry a woman, say she's 135 pounds, and she had 3 kids, you know, you 10 years into the marriage, she's 235. You married 135. You didn't ask for 2 women into one. You want 1 woman. She's 235 pounds. What do you do?
Again, please send all hate mail to Ron.
Please. I'm trying to let you get it all out before
Yeah,
I
No,
I mean,
go.
understand.
shaming.
These are. Look, I have seen some heavy women that are knockout dead gorgeous because they know how to take care of themselves. They know what to wear. Because basically, it's about putting your theme together. You know, it isn't because you're big that you can't look good. But what happens is a lot of women, particularly when they get into that scenario, or you're married, you've been married a while, you tend to put so much focus into the existential things about marriage. You know, maybe you're a stay-at-home mom and you're taking care of the kids and you're cleaning the house and doing all these other little wonderful things. But you have to take time for yourself because of the fact that this is who he married. And yes, he needs to be very compassionate about who you are now. But remember, if he wanted to marry a bigger woman, he could have.
Well, I'm just trying to figure out how this ties into men yielding into temptation from other women.
Okay.
Because that ain't got nothing to do with nothing. If that man has wandering eyes, then that sounds like that's his problem, not the woman's problem for being
But let me ask you
big
this.
or whatever.
Did he start having wandering eyes after you all got married? Or after
He
you
probably
started
been
dating?
had
There's
them
different
wandering
scenarios,
my
like you
point-
said. There's different scenarios. Like it could be for whatever reasons, whatever issues are going on in the marriage could cause a man to, you know, y'all like to have your ego stroked, and if you
No,
guys
that's-
feel
but
like the
that's
ego
honestly-
is not being stroked at
Well,
home,
I don't know
and
if it's-
somebody, just for instance, maybe somebody at work, it's like, oh, you're so wonderful, you're this, you're that, and somebody is like stroking that ego,
But
that can
okay.
open a door
But
to
really,
temptation.
really, okay, call it stroking egos or whatever. But that's exactly my point. Okay, what's wrong with his significant other doing exactly what girlfriend in the street is doing?
Oh, she should be doing that too. I
But-
agree.
But who
what-
said that's the reason that he can't keep himself under control?
Well-
This
Right.
is really about the man.
Bottom
Okay.
line, he's supposed
No,
to keep
this
himself
is-
under control. But there are reasons
But there are
that
existential
lead to,
circumstances that keep you that take you to the position
Right.
of yielding of trying or losing the ability to yield that temptation
I get
to
that.
another
I
woman.
get it.
But that's a whole nother situation where somebody has issues in their relationship.
But that's typically the problem.
sometimes that's not always typical.
Not always.
There are
It's
some men out
it's
here.
some men. We talked about that. There's some men that are just dogs.
Yes,
Thank you.
but they didn't become dogs the moment you met them. And when you started dating these dogs, they had remnants of
Being
dogism.
dogs.
Okay.
Being dogs.
That's a
yeah.
fact.
Is there
Right.
a word dogism? If there isn't, I just came up with it. They had these.
They had those
and you
traits.
overlooked them. You know, you'll see him out there. You know, you dating him. He's cool or whatever. He dresses whatever. He does this. He's the man or whatever. I don't know how y'all look at him when you're dating him, but then you date him and then he does these little things and somehow you overlook it. And then you expect him to be a model student. I mean, a model man
When he's already showed you who he is.
many times over.
Right. I hear you.
I hear that too, but I'm just saying it sounds to me like you are looking to the flaws in the other mate to justify why he's out here cheating.
No,
I'm not interested in
saying-
hearing you justify
I'm not
this woman
justifying him being able to cheat, but
getting
I'm
cheated
saying,
on.
I'm
So
saying
she's fat,
no.
or she not keeping herself up,
Well,
or she can't cook,
is
or
that-
she not stroking his ego.
Okay, but is that
And-
not a
and
reality?
That's not her fault though. If you can't
What's not her
control
fault?
if you can't control yourself and you have issues in your relationship, you address that with your mate.
That's
you don't
true.
take your butt out there and cheat.
That's true.
Okay, but
That's true.
let's say you have addressed those issues time and time again, and nothing's being done
Well,
about it.
then you say, look, if you cannot meet my needs, I am going to be
We're gonna have to
forced
part
to
ways.
do something
But at the very
further.
token, you then call him superficial because he's letting something like overweight, obesity, take him away from the love that he's supposed to
But
have.
that's his
inside.
truth. If he wants to be superficial, he's living in his
But
truth
is that?
and he knows
But
it.
I guess what I'm
Okay?
trying to say is that being superficial. He knows what he likes. He knows what he likes. He went for it. He
It's
wanted.
about communication.
But,
It's about
but again,
communication. Like you
let's
said, you
suppose
can
we do
express to
communicate.
your mate that, and there's a way to do that without hurting her feelings.
Well,
or maybe you can make some
Okay, you
suggestions.
give
like,
me a way to
maybe-
tell your woman that she's overweight. You tell me the
Maybe
way
they-
to
let's
Let's go to the
about it.
gym together.
There
Let's
you
Okay,
go.
and
Let's
she-
go together.
and you know what?
Let's go for walks. Let's
Uh-huh.
go this. Let's go
And
to
she
the gym
eating a
together.
Snickers
Let's
bar
do it.
saying, I ain't got time right now.
I don't know what woman you talking
Right.
about.
Oh,
right.
really?
There's a way.
Really?
I don't.
Okay, you mean to tell me that you all don't? Okay, let's just suppose. Let's give a hypothetical here, okay? Because I don't recall any names, and certainly I wouldn't do that if I could. But hypothetically speaking, you got a brother. He works out. You know, he's in great shape. You know, his mate.
That's motivation for me.
And this is what I'm talking about. You see him getting himself together. You see he looks good, and you're not doing anything to compliment that. See, I'm talking about
A
being
very
complimentary.
specific instance too.
Yeah.
Might I add?
Yes, I'm talking about your woman being very complimentary to you, because this is basically what he's looking for. This is what he found.
But are we not talking about the mistakes that men make? And it seems like it keeps getting flipped to being the mistakes that women are making.
Well, I tell you
That's
what.
always the case.
I tell you what the mistake
Because
is.
even
The
when we
mistake.
watched Insecure, when Lawrence was talking to his friends, they were giving him the bad advice. That's
And Ron over here co-signing.
his friend Derek was the only one that kept it real with Lawrence
Mm-hmm.
about it wasn't totally off. It wasn't
Exactly.
all her fault.
Okay, guys, look. You can't predict what she's going to do. But you can sit down with her before marriage and find out where she is from a standpoint of health. Because we are talking about...
So basically, Ron wants to see. He has a size quota.
Yeah.
I don't have a size... Look, personally, when I was dating, I dated them short, tall, thick. It didn't really make any difference to me because it was more of more maternal thing. You know, their mind, how they thought. So
Does it sound
I'm not
internal?
one.
It doesn't sound internal to me.
No, but I'm not speaking on my behalf. I'm talking about I have heard. Like I've been around long enough to know what guys complain about. Because
About a woman gaining weight.
a lot of
Yeah, some
times,
men do.
no,
Okay,
it's not
but
even
it's an
some.
issue
A
for some
lot
men.
of them
Yeah.
talk about you all gaining weight.
Well,
Like they ain't sitting over there looking like somebody big toe.
Exactly.
No,
I've seen some men too, and a lot of
Look at
times,
Stubby.
some men
Or
who
they're
are
9 months
making these.
pregnant. I get
right,
that.
I'm gonna say
I
some
get
men
that.
who are making these, saying these things about these women and stuff. A lot of them are looking like who done it, and they have stomachs.
no room
I
They
to
have
agree.
stomachs hanging over
I
their
agree.
belt.
And that's just
and
as bad.
everything,
If
and I'm
actually,
like-
that's worse because
But
as
you
a
picking
man,
the woman apart.
no.
Exactly.
As a man, if you looking like, hey, and you sitting there talking about your lady, come on, man.
Right.
Come on, man.
Yeah, but it's just convenient for a lot of the guys to talk about the women gaining weight, and that's almost a given because as you go on, you get older. Women are going to have children, and that obviously affects things. Your metabolism changes. Our metabolism is way different from y'all's, even
Right.
as you age.
Right.
So take all these things into consideration. I think y'all are way too hard on women. Not even considering all that we gotta go through. You
If
know.
that's not some frackanackle bull.
I'm just saying because you beating up on the
Hold
fat
on.
chicks.
No, I'm not. I like fat chicks. I'm saying this. Yes, look,
My BBWs, I got y'all.
look. You
Right.
had. I'm telling you, there's some fine BBWs. I'm okay.
Drake likes him.
I'm good with that. It's not that. I'm saying if you like it, fine. That's your thing. It's not a problem. But what I'm saying is, don't blame the kids. You had the kids 20 years ago. You should have dropped that weight. Look,
Hey,
tell
we
me
living
that
in
there
a
are.
different generation. A lot of these women be snapping back. Look at
Yeah.
Beyonce. She just dropped twins.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
So we
but
live in
why-
a very image-oriented generation,
Mm-hmm.
and a lot of these younger women are like, "Look, I'm gonna be back at it like I never left."
You know as well as I do that obesity in the black community especially is a problem. It is a major
It
problem.
is.
And it has really nothing to do with the number of children you had. It has everything to do with what you eat, what you
Food,
put in your
activity.
system, the lack of activity that you do, and then
We get that, but that's a whole nother conversation. It
But
has
it
nothing
is-
to do with why a man can't control himself.
well, but it does because
you're
what I'm
trying to
simply
make apples and
Get 'em
oranges
to-
relate.
no,
It has
I'm
no
saying
correlation.
if you are a man and your relationship in your relationship, you're caught into this thing where she is a compulsive eater for whatever reason, and she's gained weight,
Compulsive eater.
and she's gained
Wow.
weight, whatever.
Don't just go back to,
To the appearance.
choosing a woman based on her appearance alone.
I thought that too. I was like, that's going.
That
right
was a
back to-
mistake. So from the jump, you should have never chosen a woman who you could foresee getting big and you having temptations to cheat. You should like her for more than her appearance, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Just
And when
make-
you say those vows, right? To
Okay,
death do us part. It's not until you
Okay,
gain
vows.
135 pounds.
Now
and
we
out.
talking about the man
Right.
that don't know how to say no. Just because somebody throwing it at you don't mean you gotta catch it.
I agree
And we
with
know
that.
plenty of those.
I agree with that. I agree wholeheartedly with that. Because there are different kinds of men. And
it-
for you men, I'm talking now, in relationship to this, I'm talking about the guy who hasn't a problem with his girlfriend or wife at home. He's just going to go out and if a woman winks at him, he's going to go check that out. He's going to be all into her. This is what we're saying to stay away from. But what I am saying is on the flip side of that, as we know, there are two sides to every coin. On the flip side of that,
It's 3 on
It
one
is-
coin.
okay, 2 heads and a tail. Okay. But what I'm simply saying is, guys, sit down and really get into her about where her priorities are. And find out if her priorities are about good health, because it's going to come around to you sooner or later. Okay?
Look, I see there's a big issue. The weight. Like, what about qualities about, her temperament?
All of that
religion,
happens. You know
All
what?
of that
And
stuff.
what
But
you find-
he's
what do you-
solely focused on the weight.
Yeah, because
He's talking about that's not his issue.
no, it's
but
not.
he ain't
It's
talking
not.
about nothing
It
else.
is not my issue. But what I'm
Right.
simply saying is, God, man, it's getting hot up in here. I should have won. But anyway, what I'm simply trying to say is, And sometimes it's an associative process because of the fact that the weight comes, and then there's depression that comes with that, and there's this complacency.
Can't with you. I can't. Again,
Okay.
send all hate mail tomorrow, please.
No, look, I'm good. Okay.
Look, should we put Ryan on and who can get this hands?
Lord, please. We about to jack him up and shake him.
Moving right along.
All he's saying is fat.
No, I swear. Look,
He got on the fat filter today.
You got
Right.
me swearing on this camera.
Right.
Look, I'm trust me, BBWs. I have seen some fine BBWs. I'm trying to tell you, they are fine. And you know what I noticed too? The older that men get, they typically want someone a little thicker. I don't know what that is, but it is true. The older
Because they
men
done got
get.
thicker too.
Right.
All right, moving right along. Because I see, I am.
Okay, yes, you are outnumbered here. You can't
Yeah.
win this one.
Yeah.
Guys, keep your eyes and your hands and every other body part to yourself if you got one.
Exactly.
What she's-
Exactly. And if you're not ready, don't get involved. If you know that you are the type that cannot be committed to a woman, then do not commit to a woman.
Now
You stay single and you do you.
Now, it's
But
not.
don't be sitting out here
Misleading.
misleading, being dream killers, and all of that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't agree with her often, but no truer a statement has been spoken than that which has been said to my left. So anyway, moving on.
So that was number 10 of the top 10 mistakes.
Yes,
So
and the one I just made.
keep that in mind.
Number 11.
Rewind and replay them if you need to, fellas.
Right.
Hammer it in your head, and your lady will appreciate you later. Trust me.
Of course, you can, if you would like to have these up on our page, I'll find a way to put them on our Facebook page, and you'll have it for yourselves to delve over.
And please comment and let us know how you feel about all this stuff. I'm sure y'all gonna have a lot to say about that last one.
Yes. Yes.
All in good spirit, though. I mean, I love you guys. Okay.
Now we're diving into our next topic of conversation. We're talking about 5 things that you'll learn from dating a strong black woman. And me and Tiffany, I like to think we're pretty level-headed black women, and that we represent for the positive aspects of the black woman.
Yes.
Now I don't want Ron over here trying to flip nothing.
Right. You over there fake coughing. You need some Robitussin for that
Right.
cough?
No, I'm good. I'm good.
Now, starting with number 1 of these 5 things that you'll learn from a strong black woman, you will learn that not all women want or need you for your money. Now, that is a big one because a lot of black women get the stigma that you're gold diggers and that you only looking at a man for how much he can bring home. And that's just not true because it's a lot of, black women are the biggest growing group of entrepreneurs today. We out here getting it. So
Right.
just because you think you got it going on don't mean that we want you for your money or that we need you for your money.
Exactly. I see at the end of this paragraph, it says a strong and independent black woman puts more value on love, respect, compatibility, and the effort that you invest to make the relationship work, rather than how much money you make annually. Look at Ron.
Oh, yeah.
Bursting at the
I
seams
know he
to
got
say
something to say.
Go ahead, Ron.
Okay. That I agree with on its face. Okay. However, women a lot of times have what I call the terrible twos.
There he goes. There he goes.
Lord.
He's too broke. He's too short. His car's too ugly, or his car is.
That's some women.
Well, we all know that nothing's 100%. So on either spectrum that we speak here, nothing's 100%. And I'm not talking about those women that are strong and do take more issue with investing their and the investment in the relationship. They're moving more toward compatibility and what they can bring together. But it is a common denominator among most relationships that when the man is making less money than his counterpart, there is a struggle. Now, I don't know if it's because of cultural conditioning You know, we've been culturally conditioned to believe that the male is supposed to be the breadwinner and the female is supposed to be subordinate to that, and that a household cannot gel with the male being financially subordinate to the woman.
Mm-hmm.
However, we do get caught in that nest,
Mm-hmm.
okay, and we get entangled in that nest time and time and time and time again. And yes, I have seen experiences where relationships that were really good for one another or appeared to be, and they tend to fall by the side because the woman is making more money. I don't know at which end it starts. You know, I can't necessarily say it's because the woman comes home and cracks the whip and says, "Where's dinner?" And he's like, "What?" Or does it start because he sees her moving up the ladder and he gets jealous? And he's jealous of the fact that she's moving and he's not. And even in that case, I think it's very incumbent upon the woman to recognize that there is a cultural conditioning which causes him to feel that way, and you got to find some way to settle that down. I don't know what it is. I'm not a woman, but I'm sure that in your female wiles, you can find a way to calm that brother's way of thinking. Let's go back to Queen Sugar for a moment in this last episode when Remy comes over to visit Charlie, and he notices that Charlie has this gift from one of the what's it?
The
They're
farmers.
the farmers.
Mm-hmm.
What are they? Lancasters or whatever.
Yeah, the Landrys.
Landry's. He feels a certain kind of way about that. Okay? And they're not even really tight like that yet. And really it's because he's a simple farmer and Charlie is a go-getter.
Mm-hmm.
She's from New York. She likes to move. She'll do whatever she
LA.
can.
She's from LA.
I'm sorry, LA. She likes to move. She likes to do whatever she can to make a deal. That's not what Remy's head is. So it has a lot to do with how you all approach that situation. Because a lot of times you want that pretend life, like it doesn't matter. You want to believe and pretend that it doesn't matter. It does matter. Is it wrong? Absolutely not. Because I have a daughter. I would never tell my daughter to be subordinate to any man, nor would I expect any woman to be, because I would never suspect that a woman would have to put aside her dreams just because this man doesn't dream.
I think that's a little different.
I know that's different. And you just said something that my mother said to me years ago, because I was in a similar situation, dating someone, and we weren't on the same plane financially, but he never knew what I made, because I never discussed that. I never threw that in his face or whatever, but he just assumed based on the material things. And he was like, I want to be the provider in the relationship. And he felt like with me, he couldn't be the provider. He wanted to make sure that he was at a certain level when he did come together, and with marriage and everything. And so no matter what I did, I wasn't going to be able to fix that for him. He had to get to a place where he felt, adequate within himself. And that's something that my mom said to me too. She was like, if he's not there, then you can't lower yourself down to make him feel that way.
Well, I happen to know a situation a few years back. She made considerably more than he did.
Mm-hmm.
And, a couple of years in a row, she comes home with a brand new Mercedes.
Mm-hmm.
And it's parked in the garage. Maybe he wanted to try to buy that Mercedes for her.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe should she have sat down and discussed the finances before she went out and purchased a Mercedes. He by himself can't do that, not based on his income.
Mm-hmm.
But she can go out and she felt, she felt that she had every right to do so because, as she said to him, it's my money.
I can't say I disagree with that.
Well, see,
but if you
can't.
But if you're married though, you should be.
Well, yeah, it's
There is
different
no
if you're
my
married.
money.
Yeah,
This is what I'm saying.
When
They
you
were
married-
married.
Oh, they were married.
Yeah,
And-
when you're married, it is. So
Yeah, that's
There
a
is
that should have a big purchase. I think a big purchase should be discussed.
Absolutely.
And it has nothing to do with whose money it is. But this is
Yeah.
the the disparity that happens in relationships that where the female is making more money than the male, because sometimes the women typically, not all, but typically like to shop. They like nice things, and if they're not getting it from you, and they can achieve those things themselves, they will go get them.
Well, and to that point, I want to say there was a situation on the flip side of that. Like when you say like this says that all women want you or need you for your money, because
Right.
again, we are making our own money.
Self-sufficient, yes.
I had met this guy that was a long time ago, and I had gone for a wedding, and of course, going for a wedding, I made sure that I was straight, hair, nails, everything was done, and he started like questioning me, like, well, how much do you spend a month on grooming and this, that, and the other? And I was just like, what? Because first of all, I mean, I was like, wait a minute, you're not gonna have to worry about that. I won't be asking you for that, you know. So like, why are you asking
responsibility
me
on yourself?
Yeah,
You
like
don't
why?
even know my
Right,
name.
you don't even know me like that, and you're inquiring
it's-
about how much I'm spending on.
And it's funny
Grooming
because
and stuff.
I would say that should be a part of our household budget. You taking care of yourself, whatever it takes for you to take care of yourself. And this is what I was getting back to earlier. Should be a part of my household budget. Because I want you to take care of yourself.
Right.
I
Well,
want
he
you to
liked it.
look
He
your best.
appreciated the
Of course.
package,
But
but
you-
he was then asking me.
Because he can't
Start thinking about the
understand.
maintenance.
Right, the maintenance costs, brothers. So if you like what you see,
And he started calling me high maintenance too. HM called me high maintenance, and I was like, but
That was rude, though.
It was rude, and I let him have it. But but either way,
No,
it
somebody
wasn't
asked
his
you.
pocket. I didn't ask you.
no, y'all
I-
were
you know,
dating.
I was saying-
That's
Not
that was
even
We
totally-
weren't even dating yet.
Oh, okay.
It's
well,
a special
Like,
occasion.
it was a special occasion, and then he was trying to holler
Okay,
and
well,
everything, and
no.
we started. But he
he wasn't for you.
But he already
Well, clearly
leveled
he's
himself
gone.
up and realized he couldn't hold his own.
Yeah,
Right.
because
That
I mean,
is you.
I have nothing. No, you know, I think your natural beauty should tell who you are. You know, and you don't need, if you have natural beauty, you don't need a lot of makeup. You know, makeup is, I don't know, some women like it, some don't. But if you have natural beauty, let that shine. Because a lot of times, I think you all believe that we want to see all that. But like you want to know that your man looks like, you know, for instance, you go out on a date with this brother, he has black hair. You marry him for y'all dated a year. Every day through that year, he had black hair. Then you come home, you get married, you go on your honeymoon, you find out that black hair is gray. Very gray. I mean, you're going to feel a certain kind of way about that. So my point is, while putting your best foot forward, make it natural. You know, but again, with this money thing, that should be a household budget. If your lady likes keeping herself up and looking good, that should be a household budget. That should be budgeted into the household.
Well, I think that this is specifically speaking like about a strong black woman, and I just wanted to speak from that perspective because a strong black woman, like, we're not talking about a black woman that's just with you for your money or just mooching off of you being lazy and trying to get a check. This is the
But
strong.
they are out there.
They are out there, but
out
this
there.
is specifically about the strong black woman, the self-sufficient black woman, the educated, the one that knows how to hold her own. Now,
But how do we know? Let's deal with that. How do we know?
you know,
What are the
trust
things?
me.
What can I learn? I mean, so I'm learning that a strong black woman is not for my money. I'm learning that she is more committed to the relationship and the components that make up a good relationship. She is willing to sit down and establish a plan with me and taking into account my part of the plan with hers, regardless of income, who makes what. This is what we call a strong black woman.
Right, she's already whole before she met you. You are just a compliment to what she already has.
well said.
Okay, and vice versa. So I think again, she expressing to him what she finds complimentary, because a lot of times we may miss that.
And that's what this is for.
Exactly,
So,
and this is
pay
exactly what's
attention.
wrong. So right, because that strong black woman is going to pull you up and not pull you down.
Yes.
And you have to understand, men, that we are still in a very racist society, and it's not gotten worse since our last election. So, if your black woman is moving up, give her a chance to get up so that she can reach back and pull you up. Because it makes no sense for her to be at the middle part of the ladder trying to lift you, and now she has twice the weight. Let her get up so she can pull you up, and you all go forward together.
Let me give you a round of applause for that.
What can I say?
That's the best thing I ever heard you say all day. Go ahead, Ron.
They don't know. I got so much up here, they don't know.
You got a little something every now and then. You know, I agree with you once in a blue moon.
You trying to get off the hands list.
Right.
No, I got those hands. I'm good. I'm good.
So when we're talking about this black woman, just know what kind of black woman we're talking about. So that's the black woman that does not need you or want you for your money. That's number one.
Right.
All right, number two. This is the next thing you'll learn. You have to make your intentions clear or she'll lose interest.
I found that to be kind of interesting. What does that mean exactly? I mean, in other words, you want me to be truthful and transparent in my relationship with you. And yeah, I can understand it because guys, you know off the bat that she's got a little something going on. You know, you can look at her, you can look at her dress, you can look at what she's wearing, you can look at the car she stepped out of, and you know she's got it going on. And when you meet up at your bar, wherever you are, and you know you tell her what you do, don't say that you work with the president, and, you know, yada yada yada, or you are some sort of food scientist, and you know you've created some bacteria that's going to eat up all bad bacteria and things like that, and all you do is work at a gasoline station fixing cars. Okay, that can be very detrimental to your relationship. Now, yes, we all like to stick our chest out and blow our own horn and everything like that. But I believe that woman will accept you for who you are and what you do. And if she doesn't, then it's really time for you to move on. Because if she cannot accept what you do, then that's a clear example that she's not for you and she's not the strong woman that we're talking about.
I want to piggyback on what you said and read this sentence here because I can speak to this one. It says, you might want one thing and she's expecting another. Just stay true and be honest about your expectations in your relationship and what type of future you want together. And I was saying it because you and I talked offline about a situation before. I had a situation with a guy, and he told someone that he couldn't give me what I wanted. But he and I had never had a conversation. I was like, how do you know what I want? Because we had never had a conversation. He didn't know if I wanted a long-term thing with him. He didn't know if I just wanted Netflix and chill.
Where'd you get these losers from? I'm trying to figure you out.
Oh, loser. Wow. Yeah, but anyway, I thought that was crazy because he had never made his intentions clear to me, and I had never made, other than liking him, I had never said what I wanted from him. So I just was like, where did he get that?
Well, he's looking at you. He's judging you from a physical standpoint, purely.
How to say that I can't give her what she wants or whatever, like meaning like I'm not ready to give her a committed relationship. Whoever said I wanted that?
I don't think, but I
from him.
Yeah, but you cannot be a woman and understand what a man would go through if he feels in his heart that he can't provide the things that make you comfortable. Mm-hmm. Clearly, we live in a world where there has been this deterioration of the black male in black homes, and it is, if not more progressive than it ever has been. That includes locking up black men for whatever reason, keeping them in jail for various longer periods for over small petty crimes. There is a move to diminish the black household because, I mean, let's face it, you killed the male seed, you thus killed the generation of blacks. So what we do, or what they do to impose that, no one's going to come out and just take us out of our homes in the dark of night. They do it in other ways. They do it in ways, and I'm not saying this is 100%. It's probably, I don't even know what percentage it is. It may be small, But what happens a lot of times is that they will elevate you to keep us down because they know what it's going to cause. And they also know the effects of what happens. And the more we mix, and which of course is absolutely not a problem, but we have to understand what's happening to us as a people. And so understanding that, we have to also understand the tools and mechanisms that are used to accomplish the goal.
That's a fact. That is a fact, and that's definitely a big part of it. And I think that that's the big picture from like just like the societal standpoint. Like if you're looking at things from that viewpoint and you see that there's a lot of systematic things that go on, I think a lot of people that are woke will realize that you gotta be woke.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's definitely a part of it. And I think that with a strong black woman, she's looking for somebody that is her equal, like on her level, mentally, physically, spiritually, all of that stuff. And even sometimes financially, because it's hard to, like you were talking about in some of your situations, to lower yourself to meet somebody else that's not where you are. And it's not always easy to do. It's easier said, but
That's a good segue to number 3, a woman who wants to be treated as an equal partner. Let's look at that. I mean, I spoke with another person in our organization that had a problem with that. Actually, female, an equal partner. How do we mean that? Because on a day-to-day basis, I don't know if there's ever that kind of equality going on. I mean, at some point, you may be giving 75% in this relationship. It could be 100% on a given day. Hopefully, you have someone that's really not keeping score, but they can turn around and do just the same thing at some other point in time. I don't know if there's ever a time when you're both going to be equal. You also mentioned that women tend to look for men who are equally yoked in terms of the finances, in terms of the social calendars and their religious aspects. And could you be narrowing your base too much when you are looking for, and that's what I mean by the terrible twos, because women have a tendency to narrow that base so much, and the stronger you get, the higher up you go, the narrower your base becomes, because consciously or subconsciously you are looking for someone equal to your speed. You're not looking necessarily from where you came, and you tend not to find the brother up in that hemisphere that you're in.
right, and that's a given. I mean, like,
but what do we do? What do we do to solve that? How do we perpetuate the black woman, keeping her at her mark, but at the same time not helping her to understand that where she isn't necessarily where she's going to find me?
I think that the issue that a lot of people in the black community have is just thinking that, okay, just because I'm making this X amount of money and I'm working, I have this career and that's great, that I have to stay there, that I have to stay in corporate or doing whatever I'm doing to make this money. That's supposed to be a stepping stone for you to do other things. And I think the key to black people's financial freedom is black entrepreneurship, owning your own.
Definitely.
And
Yes.
so if you are a woman and you are making all this money and your man can be on the sideline coming up with the game plan, stashing money away, investing in yourself, so that eventually you can get to the point where you can break away from whatever career you have and do your own thing. And that way you are an equal partner with your man.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that is where we transition into a better relationship with us, because I might have he may be someone who worked in a sweatshop and he has an idea to build his own. How do we get there from here? He may not be the white collar man that you are used to on the daily job.
I think it just takes communication. You got to communicate with each other, understand where you're trying to go, and understand what it's going to take to get there. But you got to put your ego aside for a little bit. If I'm going to be bringing in this money, just let me do that while you try to get on level ground. If you can get another job that's going to help you rake in some more cash, great. But if not, contribute in other ways.
Well, let me say this. From a spiritual perspective. Could you be an equal partner? Because when you speak about biblically, there's roles for each: the husband and the wife.
Correct.
And,
Well,
and the wife is
spiritually, there's God.
Yeah.
There's the husband.
And
then there's
as
the
the
wife.
head, and the wife is the complement.
And
and she's supposed to be the helper.
but
to the so then you're not an equal partner.
Well, no, thank you for bringing that up, because from a spiritual standpoint, ladies, you are to submit to your husband as he submits to God. Now, that is a key. If he's not submitting to God, but then again, no, I'm not
laughing at that.
Okay,
I agree.
But
Right.
look, here's where we falter. A lot of times, because he's not submitting to God,
That's the part that I'm talking about.
you
Right.
run astray.
Uh-huh.
That's not in the Bible.
Right.
You're supposed to
Still submit.
You're supposed to still be that submitted wife.
That's in a
And-
marriage.
Well,
Keyword marriage.
well, yeah, and here we are.
Now, if we just dating and
Oh,
you
no,
over here going to...
No. Hey, listen. If you dating Jude on the street and you in church on Sunday, he's on the street on Sunday. I don't even know why he dating.
Thank you.
So,
okay, I just had to get that out.
No. Let's be clear, okay? I mean, he has to have some spirituality that matches yours, but it'll never be equal to yours.
Right.
And here's and one of the other reasons. Look, God said it's better to marry than to burn. He didn't mean burn in hell. What he was simply saying that if I can't have you whole, man, talking about the male, if I can't have you whole in spirit, because you too busy worrying about trying to get some, then I'd rather you get married so that you can have that mate in which you can share those things with. But God also knew that if this is what you're going to do, that I can't have you 100% because now you have a responsibility to this woman and their family. So that's why he said it's better to marry than to burn. Mm-hmm. But at the same token, women, look, most churches are born on the fact, and they're built on the fact of on the backs of you all's backs, because they know that they can fill that church with women, and you are going to come. You're going to come religiously. You're going to participate. You're going to do all these things. I'm not knocking your churches, but I'm trying to say these big gargantuan churches that you have out here. And if you listen to their sermons, half the time they're knocking on men and uplifting women. Hey, God. So getting back to
the household.
Well, but again, these are all misnomers that we have to deal with in these relationships. And you come knocking on the door, and we're married, and you're talking about, hey, we got to go to church, we got to do this, we got to do that. And he's saying, church is at home. It begins there. It actually begins and ends. Your spiritualness has to begin and end at home. You can have all the church you want, but you got to understand where church is. Jesus Christ did not go into a tabernacle and ask everybody to give 10 penance to come in.
All right, send all hate mail to Ron.
Look, real talk, okay?
No,
That's who we are. That's who we are. It's real talk. You may agree, you may disagree, and that's all well and good. I'm here to spark your mind, to give you something to think about, other than the what do you call it? That line that you're given to tote every day, all day long. You're told to. God also said, my people perish for lack of knowledge. It isn't because the knowledge isn't there. It's because we tend to soak in what we're told, and we keep that as the truth. Seek your knowledge, man.
And
I believe that.
I think with this one, it's talking about an equal partner. I don't know if it's talking about necessarily like literally being equal, but more so from the standpoint of saying, consider me. If there's something that affects us as a couple, like this says here, include me in the decision-making process, and don't just make decisions for me.
Right.
And I like where it says respect each other's space and time apart. And that's cool too, because having your own identity.
On paper, this sounds great, but somehow or some way or somewhere, when we get involved with one another, we lose that. And you know it. We lose it. Yeah, no, we're not talking about equal as in 50-50 because there's no such thing. But at some point, I don't even think I like the word equal partner. I just think partner would be just the same. Because,
I think we can take equal out.
Right. Yeah, treat it as a partner means,
we're
in and of itself, we're in this together.
Right. Yes.
That denotes a sense of equality.
Right.
So, but we put equal in front of the word partner, and then it becomes something altogether different than what it truly is. We are partners. And in partnerships, as I said earlier, you may be toting that thing for a whole week. Hopefully, though, you're not doing it alone. And I can turn around and another week or two down the road, I can turn around and be toting that barge. So let's just deal with the word partnerships.
Yeah, I think that's a better way to put it. And I think that with the strong black woman, she's going to want to be treated as a partner, and she's not going to want anybody just living her life for her, making the decisions and calling the shots without including her in the decision-making process.
Agreed.
So that's something you'll learn for sure.
Okay.
Right. So on to the next one. It's saying if you want to impress her, you have to be yourself. Now, I think you touched a little bit on this one earlier, talking about the brother that's trying to act like he's something he's not while he's working at the gas station. Meanwhile, like, no, you just got to be upfront, and if that's what you do, fine. But don't try to be a gimmick. You know, you need to be transparent. You need to be who you are, because a strong black woman is going to see through it anyway. So it's best to just be upfront before she finds you out anyways.
And she will find you
And
out.
she will.
I mean, they can get your phone number, your house.
listening.
They can get anything they want. Look, it's out there, man. So you best off be straight and honest up front. You know, that she'll respect more than anything else.
I believe that's true too. And I always think about, this takes me back to one of my favorite movies, because I love Aladdin. That was like my OG, like throwback favorite movie as a kid. And I always think about how Aladdin, he wanted to be like Prince Ali, even though he was this street rat. And so, you know, Princess Jasmine, she kind of like seen through it, but she hung it in there with him because, you know, she's strong. She already had a whole bunch of stuff going for herself, but she just wanted him for who he truly was to her,
Right.
and not who he pretended to be.
And that's the woman that we're talking about. That's the woman that we need, in spite of what you are now. Because we know that the tide can change. It can change. You know, you could have a serious accident and you're now on disability, and he found a way, and now he's on top. And that's what a partnership is.
Yep. And, you know, going back to my Aladdin analogy, because I just thought it was funny because, like you were just saying, the tides can turn. And he was the street rat. But I think that what she saw in him is that he had a lot of character and a lot of integrity to who he was as a person, even though he was lying. But I think she saw through that, and she seen that he was more than what she seen on the surface. And she appreciated that. And I think that a lot of us as strong black women, you talk about the terrible twos, and some people talking about they want this and that, and you're to this and you're to that, and you don't fit their criteria. But more often than not, I think a lot of strong black women are willing to work with you.
That's true. That's true. Look at Ron.
No,
He's itching to say something.
No, I again, I agree in part. I just think that when you look at the divorce rate being 50% or 49% toward marriage, 50-49, it can't be all because of men, and it isn't all because of women. I think we are missing the mark here. We're looking at now today where the percentage of young women are deciding to not be married at all. They're looking to do other things other than getting married. That is a concern because we need the family, and we need to build that structure so that when we do have children, they have something to look forward to, and they have something to look up to, because it takes two. I'd love to have more of these kinds of conversations, and even open it up to groups of people, because these are the kind of things that I think we need to talk about in real terms, in real life, real talk, because there is a problem in the black community, and it's getting worse. And we need to bring these to our foresight, because no one else is going to.
Yeah, and it's interesting that you said it about the divorce rate, because there are so many of our children who don't know, who've never lived in a home with a two-parent household.
Exactly.
And things. They don't know what it's like to have parents who are married, and it's really, you know, prevalent in our community.
How many generations more will it take to devour the black experience in the household to where it is none?
That's true. So I think that to that point, I think that it's important for us to have these conversations, like you were saying, and just start looking at ourselves as individuals and how we can change that personally, because that all starts with each and every one of us.
Oh, it does. That mirror.
Exactly. So that's number 4. So if you want to impress the strong black woman, you have to be yourself.
And that comes to number 5 with you have to be consistent. And I think that's synonymous to being yourself. If you are yourself, you can't help but be consistent. It's when you start to
Take her for granted.
or
Yes.
take you for less than who you are. Because sometimes we got to look in the mirror and accept who we are, understand where we are, how we got there, and how we're going to move forward. And when you do so, you do that in a manner that is consistent. You have a pattern. You have steps to make or take. If you have a strong black woman, undoubtedly she's going to encourage you to go back to school. Don't look at that as a downfall or she's trying to put you down. Look at that as an encouragement because she sees more in you than perhaps you did when you were standing in the mirror shaving. So take that for granted. Not take that for granted, but take that as, hey, she's looking after my better half. But what we tend to do is we tend to say, oh, you want me to join you in your world. Slow down, bro. No. You have a gift in you, and she's trying to pull it out. We're all born with gifts. They're not the same. But your gift will make room for you. Oh, I'm so spiritual today.
Yeah, I know. It's Sunday.
Oh, that's okay.
I was thinking about this topic of being consistent with the strong black woman, and it took me back to one of our points of discussion from last week, where it's talking about the good. Don't think that the good you do today is the same as tomorrow. And I think that that's a part of being consistent. Like the same things that you did to get her, you need to do those same things to keep her. And I love this sentence here.
It's interesting that you would make that point on keeping her, but when I made the same point,
I'm not talking. No,
Well,
but
you
see, you were
focused
talking
on
about
weight.
fat people.
You were focused
I
on
happen
weight
to use that as my analogy,
Lord.
but not my focus.
for about 20 minutes.
Because you all kept thinking I'm talking about fat people. I was just using it as an analogy
You were.
to get my point across, and you all took it and ran with it as I thought you would, but go ahead.
Look,
Sorry,
I
digress.
understand that this goes both ways.
Thank you.
But I'm just speaking in terms of the strong black woman right now, since
Got
that's
you.
the subject.
Absolutely.
But I love this sentence here where it says, be consistent in your words and actions. And when you find the woman of your dreams, don't be intimidated because she's strong. Build her up and be the man she's looking for.
Well, no, that could be. What are you looking for? Do you? And I think that goes back to what you said earlier about communications.
Yes.
Yeah.
We
You
have to know,
lay that out.
Yeah.
and we can't know 6 months into the relationship.
And you can't
a
know
year
just
into
by
the
looking
relationship.
at somebody and
No,
I
that comes from spending time and communicating.
Exactly.
Yeah, but I think that's number. While you're having that first 2-3 cups of coffee or glasses of wine, these are some of the things that you need to be talking about. But a lot of times we go, "Oh, why are we so serious?"
We just going with the flow.
Right.
No. The flow will come later. Right now, you need to hammer out some details.
Well, what I was thinking about when you have to be consistent, this is something my sister and I used to always joke about with relationships. And when you first meet people, it's like you're meeting their representative. That's what we always say because they, people put their
Right.
best foot forward in the beginning, and then when they get comfortable and complacent or whatever in a relationship, then you start seeing
The real
the real person and stuff. So just being consistent,
But-
and not
But real talk, my best foot forward could be me. It's just that put the foot that you have. Don't go borrow your brother's foot and try to put it in front of her. Because you have a right to know, honestly, if I'm good enough for you in that regard. We may call it superficial, but that's your God-given right.
That's right, just be consistent.
If I'm not where you need me to be at the very beginning, and you can see that, and that's not something you want to deal with, I need to know, as soon as possible. And you have a right to want that. You have an absolute right. So this is what we're talking about in terms of my consistency will be, I am who I am. If I like, I remember dating my wife. I think it was the first time she had actually come by my place, and you know me, I like to laugh, talk, joke. I do, and you hear it in our conversations. And she said to me one day, she said, "You like to laugh a lot, don't you? Or joke a lot?" And I said, "Yeah, I do." She says, "I don't like that." hey, I didn't get angry. I wasn't embarrassed. And I said, oh, really? I said, oh, that's excellent. I said, but if you're going to be with me, you're going to learn to love it. Because basically, I was just simply saying, if I'm not what you think you can deal with, and that was very early in the relationship, because I'm not going to change just because you don't see it the way I see it. I'm consistent. And that was 22 years ago, and I'm still the same crazy dude that I was back then. And guess what she did? Yeah, we all know. She married me.
Well, I guess you grew on her, huh?
I guess so.
But yeah, consistency is very important, and I think that it shows a sign of maturity in a man, because you can see that he's not blowing with the wind from day to day. And I think that's important because you want to know what you're getting. Like you were saying, when somebody is not being who they really are with you up front, that's altering your reality because you think you're getting something that you're not. And that's, I mean, it's a lie. And nobody likes to deal with stuff like that, especially when you're trying to be serious with somebody or you're looking for somebody that you could potentially spend your life with. You want somebody that's going to be consistent, that you can rely on, that you know is dependable. And then you think about bringing kids into the picture. You don't want to have to worry about whether your kid's going to be sitting up out the side of the school waiting for him because he can't be consistent or, you know,
or trust
stuff like that plays in different parts of the relationship. And I think a lot of women, we are forward thinkers. We use a lot of foresight looking into somebody, and we see things that we might not like. And if that's going to be something that you carry with you on a consistent basis, then I think a strong black woman going to throw you the deuces.
On both hands. So, you know, I agree.
I agree. I don't have any objections to it.
Okay.
So I hope we were able to settle some misunderstandings, maybe broaden your horizon as it comes to how you should be thinking. If you have a problem with any of these, please, you know what to do. Let us know. If you want to hear more of it, let us know that too, in terms of the mistakes that men have made or can make or do make. Your choice.
Yeah.
But I think we did cover some good ground here.
I agree. And I think we beat up on the guys enough. You know, we kind of been drilling on y'all for the past 2 weeks or so. So we talked about the top 10 mistakes that men make, and then we talk about the what is this? The five things you'll learn from a strong black woman. And I think that had a lot to do with the black man as well, or the man in general. But, you know, coming up soon, we're going to start getting into the ladies. And I know Ron can't wait.
Right.
No, I'm going to be very poised.
Yeah, sure.
I will have a certain sense of calmness, and I will have intellectual discussion, and I can't wait.
Oh, we know.
Freak out.
Trust us. We know. Ron can't wait, and he been trying to flip the script on us here lately. But we'll get to drill into the ladies because we've talked about. I think this is kind of the model woman of what we want.
But
there's a lot of other types of women out there that I'm sure Ron can.
I can't wait to talk about y'all. I mean, some of those women that we're talking about.
Guests too.
Yeah, we're probably going to have many guests. We had one scheduled for tonight, but sometimes things happen. We'll try to get her again sometime later. It would have been great to hear someone else's perspective or beating me up at the same time. I can take you, but anyways, it is what it is.
Okay, so you guys make sure you check us out on our social media. We're on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at The Spot Real Talk. And make sure you also subscribe and check out make sure you subscribe to our notifications so that you can be notified when we post new videos. We'll be coming back next week with our recaps for Queen Sugar. And we are going to obviously dive into our topics on the ladies. So me and Tiffany can prepare and get ourselves mentally ready for what Ron is going to be throwing at us.
Right. We'll be ready.
They can handle it.
We can. Yes. We can. We'll be ready.
Yeah, we're strong black women.
Don't bother straightening your hair because I'm going to do that next week.
Oh, here we go.
Right.
You better be happy you don't got that much hair to straighten out.
That's why I cut it.
All All right, guys. Well, this has been a fun discussion. Like I said, make sure you subscribe and obviously drop us your comments because we want to know how you felt about our topics of discussions. So until next time, this is The Spot Real Talk, and we'll be back next week with more recaps and more real talk. Good night.
All right.
Hey.
Show me